to explore, to try to figure out the mitzvah of Asayim. The mitzvah of reclining and Leila Seder. This is our goal. Okay? This is our goal. So let's now read the Mishnah and try to understand this mitzvah. I hope everybody prepared a whole week. With the guys at night, I prepared a whole week for you guys. You have a lot of knowledge. And today, I want to jump to another leap, another point, another understanding to understand this concept of Asayim. The Mishnah, Erev Pesachim, the eve of Pesach, when we store Korban Pesach, or Arve Pesachim, the night of Leila Seder, Samuch la Mincha, near the Mincha. Mincha is 2.5 hours before the night, and Samuch means 3 hours before. Lo yoichal odom, a man cannot eat, ad shetech shachatul, gets dark. Even though this aloha is also by Erev Shabbos. By Erev Shabbos, you're not allowed to eat before Shabbat, according to Rabbi Biyun. Here, there's a more of a reason. By Shabbos, the reason why we don't eat Erev Shabbos, why don't we eat in Erev Shabbos? Because you have to come to appreciate, you have to come Shabbos when you are hungry. With taiva, that's the language of the Gemara. Shiur, we come Shabbos with taiva, with desire. Appetite. Kiddush, and Rashi says also Suda Shabbos. So, by Erev Shabbos, the food is a means to the mitzvah. It's not the mitzvah itself. It's very important to understand. Which means by Shabbos, there's a mitzvah to have Oinek Shabbos. To covet Shabbos, Oinek Shabbos. So therefore, since you have a mitzvah to honor the Shabbos and pleasure in Shabbos, so you eat in order to have honor. What happens if somebody, by him fasting, is anorestic, who knows what, he has a diet, he's overweight, he ate so much, he can't eat anymore. He ate for the last 2 weeks in a feast. Can't eat, can't even look on food. So now is he obligated to eat? No. The whole reason why you eat, because eating normally brings you to pleasure. So you have to eat good food and fatty food. Ichu mashmanim, shtu mamtakim. Fatty food, sweet food. Makes you Oinek Shabbos. But if fasting for me Oinek Shabbos, I'm overweight, I have to go out on a shidduch, a woman and a girl like look at me. So whatever it is, I have to go and I enjoy the fast. So there's no chiyuv to eat. Okay, you have to go to a rabbi to really determine that really you're lined up properly and you're not faking yourself. Okay? But in concept, the reason why not to fast on Shabbos or why you need to eat in order to bring you Oinek Shabbos and Kohen Shabbos. But by Leila Seder is different. By Leila Seder, I don't need to eat in order to feel free. I don't need to eat in order to do something else. I need to eat because the Torah says you have to eat matzah. The Torah tells you, okay, the Torah has goals as well. Eat matzah for a poor man to feel poor, then you feel went out. It's freedom. But that's the goal of the Torah. But it's not the mitzvah. The mitzvah itself is to eat. You have to eat matzah and Erev Pesach. Okay? Now where is Pinchas? What? I'm asking, where's Pesach? Where's Pesach Eliyahu? Where's Pinchas Eliyahu?
He went away for Shabbat.
He went away for Shabbat today?
No, already. Yesterday.
Okay. And where is Yosef Shalom? Who else? And where's the other guy from Brazil? Elisha and the other guy. Who's behind you? Who's this? Yaakov. Where? There's two Brazilian guys missing. Yosef and the other guy. Moshe, what's his name? Yes. You have to get again. Okay. So our question is, again, so we draw a line between Shabbos and Erev Pesach. Shabbos, the mitzvah is not to eat, the mitzvah is to pleasure in Shabbat, to have oinik Shabbos, and to honor the Shabbat. So eating is a means for that. For example, the Gemara says, if somebody ate, he's stuffed up, it's called achila gas. He's going to eat, he's going to be disgusted from the food. So then he's exempt, he can't eat, he doesn't have to eat. Because if he eats, is not giving pleasure, it's giving him pain. He's sick, if he eats, gives him his high blood pressure. The carbons turns to super very high, can't eat, doesn't have the insulin, who knows what, he can't eat. So by eating, it gives him pain, no pleasure. So there's no point of eating, he's exempt. But by Erev Pesach is different. Leila Seder, it says by Erev Techul Matzos. You need to eat matzot, there's a chiyuv to eat. So now if somebody's sick, he can't eat. So then what? See, he lost the mitzvah. But by Erev Shabbos, somebody can't eat. He didn't lose the mitzvah. He's exempt from the mitzvah. Because the mitzvah is the pleasure. It doesn't give me pleasure, so there's no point of eating. It's different. But by Pesach, there's a mitzvah to eat. There's a mitzvah to eat what? To eat kazais matzah. How many kazais do we need to eat? That's number one, we have to explore. Number two, my question is today, this is the Kiddush of today. Drinking 4 cups. We have to drink and Leila Seder 4 cups. Where does it say in the Torah to drink 4 cups? Apparently it doesn't say nowhere. It's rabbinic. It's rabbinic halacha. There's no doraisa halacha apparently. It's against full language of freedom. But there is no halacha in the Torah to drink 4 cups of wine. So wait a second. What is the essence of the drinking of the 4 cups? The essence of the drinking of 4 cups is what? Is drinking 4 cups or freedom? Oh, freedom, it's a goal. Freedom. What happens if it doesn't bring me to freedom? I'm alcoholic. If I drink, I become drunk. It's dangerous.
We have grape juice.
Grape juice. What about you drink grape juice? It's wine. But does it really make you free? Not really.
I know wine gets me free.
Right? Does it make you free? You're drinking wine.
But you're still doing the mitzvah if you have grape juice, right?
What?
Even if you don't achieve the feeling of like freedom, you're still doing the mitzvah by.
Why? Because it's important to drink, like wine.
Yeah, it's similar.
It has to be fermented for 3 days minimum.
Has to be.
Yes, otherwise not considered grape juice.
Not considered wine.
Not considered wine. Why grape juice is considered wine? Because it's fermented 3 days. You just stop the fermenting by boiling it. It has to be minimum 3 days. That's all. So as some kind of fermenting, that's enough to consider chayil. That's the minimum. It's not the maximum. So wait a second. The drinking of the 4 cups is for what goal? The drinking of the 4 cups is for a goal of what?
Freedom.
Freedom. Wow. The goal of drinking the 4 cups is freedom. So if somebody can't drink because he's all stuffed up, so then what? Wait a second. So then what? Then he didn't do the mitzvah, or there's no point of drinking because the drinking there is to bring them to freedom. And this type of drink, he doesn't agree with me because he's all sick, he's going to vomit, he's disgusted, he can't touch it. So then what? There's no point of drinking, it's a difference. By achilas matzah, there's no goal of achilas matzah. The mitzvah itself is to eat. By Shabbos, there's no mitzvah to eat, there's a mitzvah to be happy.
What if somebody has like something like celiac, where that's too much nefesh? That would make them really sick.
Right. But we have to drink wine. The rabbi said the way we feel free is wine, cups. You can't trade that. But I want to say there's a big difference from before we start exploring what's going on here. Number one, we have to map. What are the mitzvahs here? What are the mitzvahs? The difference between Shabbos, Erev Pesach, between Achilas Matzah. And even in Pesach itself, there's a chiluk between matzah and arba koisos. Because matzah is mitzvah on its own. There's a mitzvah to eat matzah. And arba koisos, 4 cups, it's for a goal of chevus, of being free. Let's open together a few Gemara. What?
The rabbinical mitzvah.
Let's see. We're going to explore today.
And what about the rabbi in the Gemara that he was in his and he drank from the cups and he was hurting himself?
And he drank it. And he was hurting himself, right? He did any of it.
Does that mean it's a sinner? Or a chiyuv?
Let's explore. Let's explore. Open together with me the Gemara.
Why eat anywhere a simple Yom?
Gemara Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Beis. Guys, Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Beis. 117b. Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Beis below. Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Beis below. Okay, if you don't have a Gemara, listen by heart. The Gemara, the Mishnah talks about 4 cups. Yes, sir. Again?
Did we talk about not eating after Mincha or Pesach?
No, we jumped that. The goal is, I say, the reclining. Yes. Now it's fine. Omar le Rav Chanan le Rove Shmamino. This is the last 3 lines in the page. Omar le Rav Chanan le Rove. Rav Chanan told Rove, since the Mishnah says that the 3rd cup, we use it for blessing the Birkat HaMazon, the cup after Birkat HaMazon. Shmamino, we can infer from this. Birkat HaMazon, Teuna Kois, you can learn from this that Birkat HaMazon requires a cup. Omar le, so Rove answered back. Arba kose tiknu rabbonon derech hayus. The rabbis, that's the word rabbis. The rabbis fixed 4 cups in the way of freedom. You have to drink the 4 cups for derech hayus. What is the word derech hayus?
Way of freedom.
Way of freedom.
Road to freedom.
Road to freedom. That's even better.
It's a Bob Barker song.
Road to freedom. Kol chad v'chad, which means you start with 1, go to 2, you go to 3, you go at the end, you get to 4. Wow, you're out. You're really free. Amazing. Right? Amazing. Mitzvah drinking. Kol chad v'chad ne'evid bo mitzvah. Since there exists, each one and one, we do mitzvah with it. But really, it's nothing to do with because HaMazon. Could be because someone needs a cup, doesn't need a cup. It's not our subject. We need to have 4 cups because this derech chayus. What are the words? Derech chayus. The road, the way of chayus. A way of freedom. That's why the rabbis fixed 4 cups. Just, since you have 4 cups, so the rabbis don't just want you to drink. They put a mitzvah on it. So the first cup is kiddush. The second cup is agodah. The 3rd cup is Birkas HaMazon. The 4th cup is Afikoman. Hallel. So each one has a goal. We put a mitzvah with it.
Where do we see Rashi there?
What?
Do we see Rashi there?
Yes. Kloima, which means, I'm reading Rashi. Ra'ui she'aseh bo mitzvah. It's proper to do a mitzvah with it. Aval b'sh'ar yemot shashon, all the rest of the year, Lo boy kosh is not required a cup because HaMazon doesn't need a cup. And here, it's not because HaMazon needs a cup. Because it's proper to have a mitzvah. Really, the essence of a cup is to show freedom. But it's proper to have a mitzvah on it. But really, there's not no connection to the mitzvah.
Rabbi Hanan says it more clear. He says,
Yes?
the Tikkun Rabbanon derech hayus kol chad v'chad na'amid bar mitzvah.
That's the language of the Gemara.
Rabbi Hanan.
Rabbeinu Hananel.
That each one is, he's saying, that each one is a mitzvah.
Right, but that's the language of the Gemara. Okay. So, just quote the language of the Gemara. So let's go back. Let's go back. What do we have here? What we have here, we have matzah and then a Pesach, which is doraisa from the Torah. And we have the 4 cups, that what? Is derech egus, in the way of freedom. Rabbinic mitzvah, the way of freedom. So now, let's read the Mishnah. Let's read the Mishnah, backing out Mishnah, page 99b. Now we're ready for an opening. Afilu onish b'Yisrael, the second line. Even a poor Jew, second line of the Mishnah. Afilu onish b'Yisrael, even a poor Jew, lo yoichal ache yesef, he cannot eat until he reclines. Okay? This is what they help about Siyata Nishmai. Even a poor Jew cannot eat until he reclines. Very weird language. Don't eat until. Maybe it's a continuation of the previous statement. Erev Pesach, and next to the mincha, a man should not eat until it gets dark. It says not eat until. Also here, even a poor Jew should not eat until he reclines. So they're not eating until, it's a pattern in the language of the Mishnah. That's one way to read it. Or no, it's a problem in the essence of eating. You can't eat until you recline. Because if you eat without recline, you will blemish eating. What does that mean? How much will blemish my eating? And that's about eating. What about drinking? If I drink, the 4 cups without reclining is also. Do not eat and do not drink is part of eating is drinking, normally. So it says don't eat means what? Don't eat means full eating, even drinking. Let's see the first Rashi. Before I hear your questions, I want to read one word in the Rashi. And Rashi and also in the Rashba. Afilu anish b'Yisrael. I asked you, Rabbi, to learn the Rashi, right? Yes. So now let's see the Rashi. Afilu anish b'Yisrael. And let's open our new topics, which we used to speak during the week.
Rashi doesn't say afilu.
Let's see.
It says ve'afilu.
Ve'afilu and afilu, even a poor Jew in Israel, lo yoicha. Rashi adds 2 words which doesn't say in the Gemara. Where Rashi says? What Rashi says? Lo yoichal what? Beleil Pesachim. Do not eat in the night of Pesach. The whole night? The whole night? Kazai matzah?
It says in.
The drinking?
It says in. It doesn't say do it.
Beleil Pesachim. In the night of Pesach. In the night of Pesach, don't eat. What?
Pesachim is a plural. It means all.
All years of Pesach, on the night of Pesach, you cannot eat. Wait a second. We talk about eating kazai matzah, talk about drinking, we talk about the whole night.
You got the verb to relate to the first Christian statement.
I understand.
To relate to the Christian
No, Rashi has be in the night of Pesach. So what in the night of Pesach means? The whole night? The whole night? Or maybe the first kazais. Or maybe all the kazaisim. But not the drinking. Maybe drinking and 4 cups and eating kazais. And the 2 kazaisim. But not eating meat. Eating potatoes. Maybe those that the other meat, the meal or not. If Rashi says Beleil Pesachim, means what? Means that the whole meal, all what we eat at night, needs reclining. From the Ikar, the Yimekayim, the mitzvah. Otherwise, why Rashi is Beleil Pesachim? You can say no. Rashi didn't mean to tell you the whole night. Rashi just came to tell you. It's not like the first case. The first case was during the day, in the 14th of the day from Milchem till the night. And then it says even a poor person should not eat until you can say maybe make a mistake. Talk about what? What are you talking about?
You talk about the 2 nights of Pesach outside.
I know that, but it's not my question here. Why Rashi says Beleil Pesachim or Be'av Pesachim? Because the previous statement talked about on 14th through the day. Come closer, come here. The first statement of the Mishnah talked about that you're not allowed to eat an Erev Pesach from midday until the night. And then it says, even a poor Jew should not eat until he reclines. What are you talking? What time are you talking about? What period of time are you talking about? So Rashi has to tell you, it's not the previous timing, it's the night. It's not Erev Pesach until it gets dark, Mincha until it gets dark. Talk about Beleil Pesachim, in the night of Pesach. Or Be'av Pesachim, in the eve of Pesach.
Why would he have to repeat Lo 2 times? It doesn't make sense.
No, Rashi and Rashbam both insert in the text of the Gemara of the Mishnah the timing. Lo yoichal, do not eat at sheyesa, to recline. When they say, don't eat in the night of Pesach until you recline. They insert in the words the timing. Means what? They want to tell you is not talking about the day, talking about the night, or they're trying to tell you the whole night. It's not only in the first kazayis, it's the whole night.
It could be nothing. It could be a third possibility. It's a continuation.
Let's continue on.
You put a vav.
I'm talking about a vav. Where's the vav?
Mishnah didn't say a vav.
I understand. The
So
Mishnah.
therefore, it could be
First of all, who says the Mishnah didn't say a vav? Our Mishnah say a vav. Rashi's Gisa was over.
Who says a girsa? No, who says not a girsa? It's a pesach.
No, but it's written in strong black words. You see, those are the words of the Mishnah. So Rashi and Rashbam.
That's not true. That doesn't have to be true. It could be his.
He should have said Achigarsina, or he should have. No, he says Vafilu. That's what his Gisa.
The hardest way of adding a pesach to it.
What?
Rashi didn't add this verb with any purpose. He had it on purpose.
Who says that he added? Could be that's what his Gisa.
Who says it's not a gear? Who says it's a gear? It doesn't have to be. It could be he added the book to make pesach in the Mishnah. Not because it's a gear. It's a gear. He should have said gears and not that. What? Yeah, but it, Mishnah doesn't say it. Therefore, to add a vote to be part of the pesach, he's giving pesach in the Mishnah.
No, so let's answer.
It doesn't have to be a gear. It's don't hate to say a gear.
Why not? It's
Because then he should have.
But let's say it's a vav. So what's a vav? What's it do with us?
So it makes a big difference. Because,
Then what?
Because it joins the two cases.
I agree. Join two cases. Therefore,
So then you have to explain the continuation.
I did the case. Wait. Our question is something else. Our question is why does it say Leil Pesachim? Why say that I have Pesach?
Related to the continuation.
I mean, it's a continuation relate. Why do I relate what? Relate the whole night or just kazais?
Why is that the question?
I mean, it's Rashi tells us the whole night. Leil
I don't
Pesachim.
say the whole night. But told. But let to be
Leil Pesachim.
not to be the whole night.
It says a man, and even a poor person should not eat. He adds, he inserts Leil Pesachim, the night of Pesach.
Yeah, in the night. But it means which time of the night, all night. It means during the part in that period of time.
Right? But he's not saying when you eat, kazais. He says in the night. So that means all the time when you eat at the night.
No,
While you eat, don't eat Beleil Pesachim.
No, it doesn't mean that.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It means betok the night, sometimes betok the night, whatever.
Because you don't eat all night.
No, not all night.
You're going to blow up if you eat all night. You eat in the night, but whatever you eat at night.
Daytime.
No, I understand that. But since Rashi didn't say when you eat the kazais, he says don't eat in the Erev of the Leil Pesachim. Means in while you eat in the Leil Pesachim, you can't eat unless you recline. It doesn't make a specific time when you eat kazais or for koyim or the rest of the meal. You didn't make those people yes. With the vav or without? With the vav. Good. So that's the case. Good. Right. And also Tais is the word from. So that's what's the case, yes.
No, they all hold the same thing.
Maybe he means like Rambam says, where he says, "Shar Chila Shpil, maybe he's saying the Rambam says the rest of the eating and the drinking you should do. It's great to do, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. The others you have to. It's a Shiur mitzvah.
Right.
So maybe he just didn't put together in there, but he means to suggest that reclining the whole night is a good.
Very good. That's the point. You got the point. Since Rashbam is saying, Rashi and Rashbam is saying Leil Pesachim, they talk about the whole meal. Because the whole meal, everything you eat, whatever you eat, doesn't matter what you eat, you better recline.
That's the one possibility. That's not bad.
The Rambam, I believe in the Rambam.
I understand that. That's what we medaik in the words Leil Pesachim.
That's
That's the point.
It's a different way.
That they gotta what?
The fact that since you can't eat every Pesach, so now you say when can you eat? Not only you can't eat then, you have to wait till a certain time. Even then you can't eat until you recline. So it's a thing.
When?
It's a concept of if you started out not eating, and then when can you begin to eat? So it's telling you, I'm limiting you to when you can start. So that's why.
But we already said when.
You didn't just.
This Mishnah says Achatechsha.
What doesn't?
What is the word
It's
Achatechsha?
two different
Before relax. It says Achatechsha. What does Achatechsha mean?
It means to get started.
So he told you when it gets dark, you cook.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it says don't eat until it gets dark.
No, the Rosh would say different. So
Yes.
There's a negative versus the part.
I know. When it says don't eat until it gets dark,
That's a deal.
so that's when it gets dark, you can eat.
No, that's not true.
Yes.
It's love doctor.
Yes, it's a daf.
No, it's love.
Yes.
Love doctor.
Yes.
You don't know what's your raya?
I don't have to raya. I don't have to raya. When I tell you don't eat until, it means from then on you
No, it
cook.
doesn't. It means don't eat till. That's doctor.
Right? It means before I was able to eat and after I was able to eat, and don't eat until.
No, that's not.
Yes? Yes, sir.
Maybe you could say, Mishnah is talking about anybody.
Yes.
Which was not right. The Mishnah tells you that
Even.
you can't eat until you start. But I'll tell you, a poor person doesn't have food, he's always hungry.
Right.
Let the guy go out and eat. And then comes along and says, no. Even that poor guy that's hungry, he's got food. Sorry, you can't eat it. You have to wait until you
Recline.
recline.
When?
Oh, that means when you sit down, you just sit down. That's for starting.
So why Rashi says Leil Pesachim? You should have said when it gets dark. Like the language of the Mishnah. Techsha. Why is it Leil Pesachim? Why change the language? Yes.
It's a continuation.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what not like you said.
Doesn't matter.
It does matter. Rosh is against you. He said.
No, I'm Rosh against me.
He is in the concept it could be
Yes,
against you.
let's hear what you say. Before I answer, let's let it begin. Yes.
When you have a continuation, you have a starting point you can't eat, and when it says you can't eat until, it means stop until. It doesn't mean and therefore afterwards you could. It just means it's telling you one particular point. Well, you can't eat until.
Right.
That's.
And then it says don't eat until.
Right.
Until you recline. So then it talks about when. When is the timing? If you don't know Rashi, just at the Mishnah, I ask you, Rabbi, when I can eat, when I should recline. You give me your parish, Rabbi Fisher. Erase Rashi, give me your parish.
The parish is
Yes.
that the first time when you recline, that's when you can eat, whenever that is.
It says don't eat until you recline. So when do I recline and eat?
I don't know. That's the be.
You don't know? Look at the Mishnah, you tell me.
No.
I can ask a little child, 5 years old, tell me the Mishnah.
That's what it says of feeling. That's what.
No, the Mishnah says we're not allowed to eat until it gets dark. It means when it gets dark, you're allowed to eat. It's simple.
No.
A simple application.
No, that's on the deal.
Okay, I heard your point. I don't agree. Yes.
And you don't eat until you recline.
Right, but when you can recline and eat, you can eat. But when you can recline and eat, it says before that don't eat until it gets dark. Means it gets dark, you start eating. That's all. Simple. But Rashi didn't say that. Rashi says in the night of Pesachim, you should recline. Why you put the whole night? Just gets when it gets dark. It's the starting point. Yes.
I don't know if this is a appropriate time to put this in, but like I heard an opinion that because today the way of freedom is not reclining. Back then, people were on the floor and reclining was the way of royalty and things like that. But today, everybody sits in chairs and it's no longer the way of freedom. It's no longer relevant.
Correct. Is that look at things? He's showing you already said it. You don't need a bed. We'll talk about it in the end of the subject.
Maybe I missed it because I went to that.
No, you're saying good point. It's true. We can talk about that moments.
Maybe,
Yes.
maybe the Bible, I didn't buy them.
Yes.
You have to wait until it's light. You have to wait until it's reached. I have to wait, but I like. Maybe tell you that.
It says in Leil Pesachim. It doesn't say ad or when. It says in. Be Leil Pesachim. Says don't eat in the nights of the Pesach until you recline. In the nights. Talk about from when on. It says in the nights means when you eat. In the night. Don't eat until you recline. What does that mean? Implies But the whole meal, whatever you eat on that night, don't eat unless you recline. It's not about kazayis or for koises only. That's simple meaning.
But you got another possibility.
Night means night. Maybe night means it's a legal Torah terminology, like Erev Pesach and Leil Pesach. How do you know it means night?
I don't know if I have them.
Okay, good. So
But it's common sense. Simple
No, it
meaning.
doesn't make
Yes.
sense. Okay.
Instead of the rabbi said another possibility to forget the first part that we might think that it's Arab person.
No, Rashbam used the language
So the
Ba'av.
first part, I should get shot. So that's an Arab case. So and then, like Durov said, that afterwards, Rashi comes to say that it's Leil
Beleil Psochim, in the nights of Pesach.
to tell us that, like Durov said, why do we even become that shot?
I agree to the pshat. I said that's a pshat.
That is a shot.
It's not my word. It's somebody else. One of that. I don't remember who.
It's not the hem.
But they learn in Rashi like that. I just wanted to open your mind. We don't have to continue on. Yes. Yes. Yes, Ati.
Is it possible that someone would be so poor that she wouldn't recline on eating on Pesach?
Somebody that's very poor cannot recline.
Because you're so poor, you get too stressed out, and you can't recline.
Maybe.
No, the Mishnah
Possible.
says no.
So can he eat in that case?
Possible.
Can he eat in that case?
You're talking about halachically or possibility?
No, they're talking about, is it possible for this to happen?
Yes. Let's say a person doesn't have a table, doesn't have a chair. Nothing. Sits on the floor. Can recline. Let's see. Let's see in Rashi. Let's continue on the Rashi.
Oh, that's what Rashi said.
Let's see the Rashbam. Let's continue on the Rashi. Yes. Right. Right. Right.
This is no,
The Rosh says that
the
before us.
English before the Techsha, no, it has to be mamash night.
The Rosh says that before us.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
That's the sheet of the Rosh.
Okay. Ache Yosef until he recline. Let's continue on the Rashi. Ache Yosef, in the night of Pesach, don't eat until you recline. Kederech b'nei choyrim, in the way of children of freedom. Free people. How does the way of free people is reclining. Rashi continues, Rashbam continues. Seichel Echeus, a memory for freedom. It's a memory for freedom. What is he saying, double language? You have to recline like the way of people of freedom and to remember freedom.
Oh, lucky term.
Very good. Seems to be that Rashi is saying there's an act. The act of reclining, it's an act of a way of children of freedom, b'nei choyrim, freedom people, children of kings or free people eat. The way they eat, the act of eating, of reclining is derech b'nei choyrim. And then Rashi says, what's the goal of that? What's the goal of doing an act of a way of freedom? Zeichel Echeus, to remember freedom. Wait a second. So is it a Doraisa mitzvah or a rabbinic mitzvah?
Looks like it's rabbinic. Zeichel Echeus is a usually rabbinic.
Zeichel Echeus is rabbinical or Doraisa?
Doraisa. And leading is rabbinic.
By Arba Koisois, when the Gemara says the rabbis fixed 4 cups, Derech Echeus, a way of freedom. Somebody said that Arba Koisois is a Doraisa or rabbinic? Guys, Arba Koisois is Doraisa, is the Torah or rabbinic? Rabbinic. So here is a Doraisa or rabbinic? Both.
Wait, is leading the right or rabbinic?
They're reclining. They're reclining. You do an act of way of freedom people, to remember freedom.
It has to be rabbinic.
Is it rabbinic or Doraisa?
Rabbinic.
Chachamim tell you how it's the Raisa.
What?
Chachamim tells you how the Raisa.
I like this answer. I think it's a true answer. Now I'll explain myself. I'll explain what Rav Shlomo is saying.
What do you say?
He said that the rabbis told us the format how to fulfill the Doraisa mitzvah. Okay? So it's really Doraisa. I'll explain that. Let's open the Rambam. Everybody has the Rambam, right? We gave out the Rambam. Rav Shlomo, we gave out the Rambam. What about the Rambam? We gave out the Rambams, or we didn't. We gave during the week. Those are got it. So I'm going to read the Rambam. You can hear it by heart. The Rambam in Perek Shvi, in Ilchos Chometz L'Matzah, chapter 7, says as follows. There's a mitzvah essay in Aloha Aleph, he says, there's a positive mitzvah from the Torah to talk about the story of the miracles and the wonders that was done to our forefathers in Egypt. In the night of the 15th, as it says, you should remember this day, and you should tell your child in that day. The word that day means you have to, when you reach that day every year, you have to tell over the story. Okay. The Rambam continues in the same chapter in Law 6. Alachava. Bechol what? Bepeh. Right. Wait, relax. This is what we're going to do today. We're going to investigate this country. Bechol dor v'dor, in every generation. Chayav odom leharois es atzmoi. Every man is obligated to show himself. In the language of the Gemara, there's two girsos. Some girsas is lirois, to see yourself. Girsas means two versions of scripture. We don't know what's a true one, or what's a true one. In Rashi, the way it's brought down in our Gemara, a person needs to see himself. Lirois means to see himself. The Rambam's language is leharos. The word leharos means to show yourself to others. It's an act. You have to show, you have to be an actor. Leharot. What is leharot? To show off. Leharot is not to show himself. Ki'ilu as if, ube'atzmo yotzo ato, as if he went out now, right now he went out. Mishibu mitzrayim, from the affliction. Shibud means working out, they say the word shibud, I don't know. Subjugation of Egypt. As it says, he took us out of Egypt, etc. And he says like this, and this God commanded in the Torah. Where he commanded this in the Torah? Where he commanded this in the Torah. You know that? All the guys know this word. I taught enough nights. I hope they got into the head. Where do we know it from? You should remember that you were a slave. What do you mean I was a slave? I wasn't a slave. You have to show yourself. You were a slave and you went out yourself and you've been redeemed and free. The Rambam right away continues the next halacha, therefore. Whoa! Therefore, when a man eats this night, you have to eat and drink, and you recline in a way of freedom. Whoa. What does it say here? The Rambam says it's a rabbinic mitzvah or doraisa mitzvah. It's a smachta, or the rabbis told us how, in what form I fulfilled the mitzvah, in what way I want to show that I was a slave and now I'm free.
It's in the way of freedom, but that would, I'm sorry to bring this point up again, that would mean that he's sitting in a chair today without reclining would also mean we're fulfilling that mitzvah. Because that's the way
if you show freedom today.
Yeah.
He's sitting in a cheap chair, in a beach chair, and with flip-flop shoes, and top, tank tops, eating like that shows freedom. Maybe we show free in a trip. Not a joke. It's very serious.
That's not the way of royalty. That's not royalty, though.
Oh! The Rambam in Pirush Mishnayos says like this: Kederech bnei melachim, the way of children of kings. So it's not just freedom; it has to be kings. It's not royalty; it has to be freedom and royalty. So the Rambam in Pirush Mishnayos add those words here. It doesn't say that. In the halachos, it doesn't say bnei melachim. But in the Rambam in Pirush Mishnayos, you look at Pirush Mishnayos, those that have. I'm going to read the Pirush Mishnayos in our Mishnah. The Rambam uses a very weird language. I don't know if I spoke about it here, and then I speak at night, I don't remember. But look at the language of the Rambam. The Rambam says a very weird language, which opened my eyes and opened my mind and my heart when I heard this. This is what the Rambam says. This is the Rambam in Pirush Mishnayos and the first Mishnah in our chapter. V'chiyavunu le'echol ba'aseiva. The rabbis obligated to eat in reclining. Kedei, an order. The goal of the rabbis was an order, sheyoichal, that he will eat, kederech sha'melachim, in the way that kings, v'agdolim, and the big ones, means noble, big ones, gdolim, oichim. Again, the rabbis obligate us to eat reclining in order that we'll eat in the way of kings and big people. That's the way they eat. And then the Rambam uses very, very amazing words. Ad! What's the word ad mean? Until. What's it until? Ad sheyeh derech, until it will be in a way of freedom. What do you mean until it will be? And you have to strive, you have to go up and up and up towards it. Build it up. Ad until sheyeh derech. Is it because he's saying, I will hear what you're saying, is it because it's part of a whole system? You do this, you do that, you drink 4 cups, it's freedom. You eat to recline, freedom, you wear beautiful clothes. It's a whole, until you will be derech. Yes, wait a second. You know what? I stopped him one time ago. I didn't get back to him.
I just wanted to ask that, why didn't you just leave out that part about Seva and continue on it? Just leave it completely out and say, you know what I'm saying? Leave it out.
Leave it out.
Leave it out.
So the Mishnah is trying to teach us there's a mitzvah of Seva, there's a mitzvah of reclining. If we just said don't eat, okay, now I don't eat, now I'm hungry. Okay, I'm hungry. Great, I'm hungry. And I'll get from the tzedakah, I'll get all what I need if I'm poor. Great. But it doesn't tell me how I eat it, and what way I drink, and what way I eat. It tells you also the format. The way you eat, you have to eat it a way of free people. And now we added noble. Free and nobility. Right? Not enough free. Not Bechoyim. 7 billion people in the world are free. It's to be noble people. Gdoilim. We blame Elohim. People, children of kings. Okay. Yes,
that is not food that you eat b'shulchan melochim.
Right.
It's not in bishul.
Right.
So
Bishul akum.
Bishul akum has to be a
important food. So it has to be important drink.
for a drink.
Why? The wine, the Gemara says if you don't mix the wine with water, what we learned last night?
You're a bum.
No, it's not a bum. You're not yoytzeh dechedush. You're not exempt away of freedom. So the wine has to be a type of wine that's not too harsh, not the cheap wine of which is no mixture. It's not gentle. It's too tough wine. It gets you right away high. That's not important wine. It's not important wine. It's not derech chedush, the Gemara says. So the wine has to be certain wine. The cup has to be a cup. Let's see Rashi Yitzchak. Now let's go back to Rashi.
This Rambam.
Yes.
This Rambam had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Could it be that the Rambam is retranslating the way of freedom as the 4 cups? So if that was the case, I could say until the way of freedom, which is the whole meal, until I get to that 4th cup, I have to do it in the way of kings.
Yes, the whole meal. The Rambam holds the whole meal. We're going to redefine it as Hashem through the Briskero.
And I could redefine
What does that mean?
The way of freedom is what the Rabbanan put in as 4 cups of wine?
Yes. The rabbis told us the format, and by doing this, we fulfill the mitzvah of chayvus, of freedom, to remember you were a slave. It's a chatke v'raisa. The raisa, yes. The rabbis told us how to fulfill that mitzvah. In what way? How do I do? Yes, Rabbi Nash.
Like the Dika. The Dika's...
Right, rabbinic. But you fulfill the raisa, yes.
It's the way of freedom in drinking is way more is however much you want. It says in the Megillah.
Right. Right, but we don't want people to be drunk. We want people to talk about Hashem. It says Mitzrayim. When people are drunk, they don't remember Hashem.
It's already too much,
4 cups. Okay, it depends on the person. Some people can drink more than 4 cups.
As if it's not there.
It's space in between.
Depends which wine you drink. I remember last year I went to a store near Pesach, and the guy was selling very expensive wine. So I asked him, give me the most expensive wine with the best extra you can give me. He says, listen, wait a second. These are a banuk texture, very low, but it's one of the top wine in the world, because Israel has very good wines around the world, compared to the international world. Winery, but it's a little bit more better texture. It's a little bit closer, but it's not the same. I was thinking, what is it? I'll do a mitzvah of chegos, the better wine, and then says what I should do. He says, you know what, give me the minimum of the best texture and the maximum of the best wine. So he gave me a wine which would cost me 1,200 shekels. Enormous amount of money. Okay, but I said, one bottle can fill 4 cups? He says, yes. Okay. I drank wine, no problem. It was smooth like a milk. It was the best of the best. I was able to drink, no headache, no hangovers, nothing. So the pets were trying to drink, and I started spending all this money, the Pesach. I'm not going to spend money on the essence of the mitzvah. You said on side things, you spend on the main thing. On wine, on good matzahs, very crispy and thin matzahs. You should spend your money. Not on the meat, not all that. The main thing is the mitzvah of the right that you spend your money on. That's what I did. This year, somehow, from running around, I didn't produce that. I felt sorry. Maybe it was the next year. We'll chew on it. But anyhow, that's the idea. So let's go back to us and Rashi. The Rashbam and Rashi add a very amazing factor, which is our subject today. What do Rashbam and Rashi say? Benita v'shulchan. What does that mean?
The measurement of the table?
No. Mita means a bed, a couch. Mita is a couch. Ve'ala shulchan, on a table. Now where does the Rashbam and Rashi know couch and table? Where they got that from? The Mishnah says to recline. First of all, right away they added recline entire eating, like the Rambam. Therefore, when you eat that night, that's the language of the Rambam. When you eat this night, you need to eat and drink when you recline away of freedom. So the Rashbam and Rashi both understood that the subject of the Mishnah is not the minimum, it's not the obligation, a subject which is not the chiyuv, the subject which is the kiyum of the mitzvah. Kiyum. The subject of the Mishnah, according to the Rashbam and Rashi and the Rambam, is what? The kiyum of the mitzvah. The fulfillment, not the chiyuv, the kiyum. Okay, so now it makes sense. Why they talked about a bed and a table and a chair, a couch and a table. But reclining is recline. What do I need to have recline? A soft couch. Why do I need to recline a table where I put the wine and the food? No, they understood that it's all part of the kiyum of the mitzvah of derech chegos. Because imagine a person eats with ripped jeans or short pants, and he's leaning on a wall, sitting on a mat on the floor. An hour days even. Okay? That doesn't show way of freedom. So the Rashbam right away, the Rashi and Rashbam doesn't say it in the Gemara nowhere. The Rashbam and Rashi, from their own understanding, la'alacha, they said that a person has to recline on what? And the night when he eats at night. So we said the whole meat, whatever he eats. Number 2, they added mita, a couch, v'shulchan. Where does it say that in the Torah? Where does it say that in the Mishnah? Where does it say in the Gemara? Nowhere does it say that. Must very good, Rabbi. Must be understood in Svar and essence that this is what he really says.
Duh.
What?
Does that mean like duh?
Duh. This has to be. This part of it. It's not so dumb. You can argue. Say, wait a second. Reclining means the way I eat it. How do I show that I'm aware of the way of freedom? To remember freedom is I recline. That's it. Who adds on what? On a couch. Okay, a couch I can even understand even more. Because a couch, if I recline on something pointy and hard and tough, see, it's not really reclining. It's an opposition to reclining. Okay, so I need something soft. It's reclining because the food will not going to go through well. But imagine I recline in the air like this. That's reclining.
Reclining physical.
The Mishnah needs to tell me that I cannot recline on the air. I need to recline on something. That's obviously, otherwise that's reclining. That's painful.
Yeah, but maybe it's legal.
And more than that, I just want to add more. This has to do with you, Guy. Every year when I finish a little set, I have a back pain. Because imagine you have to eat for 6 hours. You're not comfortable to bend on the side, and your back is hurting you. So what's the point? Today reclining just hurts you. So what my wife answered me, I love this, and I told her she's right. Says not true. Prepare yourself with the right cushions. That when it shouldn't hurt you, but you're not prepared with the right cushions, and you're bending in the air and you're using your muscles to holding you reclining. So then at the end of the night you have pains.
But royalty doesn't do that today, even at all.
True. So you can cancel reclining totally. But if you want to do reclining, we talk about why we want to do the reclining. So do it right. Can't do it wrong. Yes.
It says here literally, Mita. If you look around the world, what's the most expensive meal you can order? In a fancy hotel, you have breakfast in bed. They bring it.
Is that the most expensive?
Yeah, it's much more than a.
Yes, it's much more expensive. If you go to a hotel and you order food to your room, to your bed. Yeah, but in the Maisa today, they put you on some roller and they come with a chair, you know?
No.
You don't need a bed. On the couch, you can sit.
They bring a tray that has 4 legs, and they put it on your
bed, you feel you look at the television, and you feel free, like a king. Okay, have a seder like that.
There you go.
That's in 2018, 19. Without doing, you're gonna eat like this, like that's it.
There you go.
Okay.
How do you know whether it's legal or physical? What's your right?
That's also breakfast.
The concept of reclining could be a legal obligation. You have to figure out the physical. It could be a physical thing that you do to fulfill.
I think it starts as physical. It starts. The law has to tell you have to eat in the way of freedom, to remember freedom. Why freedom people eat in such a way? Has to be because it's a physical benefit for it. People being free, they feel good. Has to be some kind of physical benefit that you do that.
So in this
It could be the rich. It could be rich people.
Rich people do what? They don't jump on the leg, don't stand on the nose. They do something which is more comfortable for them. So it has to be some kind of a concept, a physical concept, a physical benefit that you're doing it for. And the rabbis told you, okay, now you need to do in the way of freedom and of nobility of, this is the way, copy this. They could have told you copy many things. They could have told you copy every generation according to what they do. They didn't say that. They gave you a format. That's what Machlekes is showing you today. Reclining finished was too on. There's more than rabbis obligated. We're going to see that later on. Okay, this is Radash.
The Torah says there's a question. Why
Yes.
say only?
Right.
It says the answer is maybe because he doesn't have what to do a savor.
Right. What does doesn't have on what mean?
What does it mean? So Rashi has the answer. He does have on what. He has a bed.
Who says maybe a poor person doesn't have a bed? He has a bed, doesn't have a table.
Maybe that's what Rashi is trying to answer. That the only does not have what to do a savor on. Says Rashi that therefore even the only has to have a bed.
You have to search for it.
Yeah, you have to search for it. That's
Very
why-
good. Very good, very good, yes. Very good. I want to relate to what he said. Do we have here machloket Rashi and Tosfos? That's really the question. Let's read Tosfos. Va'afil only should be so lo yechal ashetechsha. Tosfos says, the sal kadaitech would say, da'asei bas oni l'chashiv ba'asei b'domer eno alma lehosef. I would think that a reclining of a poor Jew is not a good reclining because he has nothing what to recline on. The answer there is not a way of freedom. So since it's not a way of freedom, so then what? He shouldn't recline. And the answer is he can recline without it. Oh no, the answer is he has to get it. If he doesn't have, he doesn't have. It means he can't get it, he doesn't have.
It could be a lot of possibilities.
Right? So simply it means that Tosfos that even without a chair and a table, he can recline because nothing. The answer is what? Even without it, he can do. On the wall. But Rashi said no. Rashi says a poor person cannot eat until he recline. What? With a bed and a chair. A couch and a chair. Seems to be without it. He cannot do it. And if he can't, let him search for it.
You can recline your friend's.
Or it could be only struck with a putt.
What?
In halacha, you can recline your friend.
Maybe. But we don't know Rashi. What does Rashi and Rashi?
It could be putter. Only putter.
Right? So it seems to be from Rashi and the Rashbam that without meat and shulchan is zero. It's not reclining. But from Tosfos seems to be that without it you could recline. Because Tosfos says the Avamina was that since he doesn't have a table and a chair, what to recline on. So therefore it's not reclining, it's not freedom. The reclining is not freedom. Kamash Malan, then he could.
No, that it is reclining.
Salkadai, that the Havamina was, that is not Derech Chayus, and what's the Maskana? That he has to search for it? That he has to buy a table, a couch and a chair, and a table? Before this, before this, the first was something else, another page. The first page of Tosfos is what? The Havamina was without a table, without a couch and a table. It's not a way of Chayus, so there's no point of reclining. The answer is there is. So according to Tosfos, we say like he doesn't need a table and a couch and a table.
To be Yotzi the Din.
To be Yotzi the Din of a Sefer. And from Rashi seems to be saying that what? They need a couch and a chair and a table. Seems to be without it. Is that reclining or no? And I want to say the opposite.
No, it doesn't say sorry. He says Anami the Shulchan, that could be Derek Stam, normal people, and told us to get extremes.
Right, but it's a continuation. Actually, he says until you may sit, and then he goes Shulchan, don't eat, means don't do that until that. It says don't eat until.
Okay, normal people, but he doesn't have, he's stuck.
So let's talk about it. I want to use this word to knock it out in a second. I'll explain it a second more in details. Yes.
Okay, so it's a poor person that is very stressed.
Yes.
In the time of Pesach, he doesn't want to get he can't forget about all the stress.
Yes.
So he wants to eat without
Yes. We ask him what he should do. Okay. You have to open the Mishnah Book and look what he should do. Adi, you have to learn the Sugya, you yourself. Look at all the Rishonim, and then look at the Mishnah Book, and you see what's the truth, what you should do.
Okay, but
I want to answer from you tonight, Shabbos. You call her, and Mishnah Book, and tell me the answer.
but we didn't get to this part yet with the Rabbi. We're studying the
Whatever you got, you got. Look in the Shulchan Aruch on it, and look and find the answer. Just 1 second. Yes.
The Yeshiva told me that guys who come to like from the 70s, hippies and stuff, I don't want to eat bread on Shabbos because I'm on diet. Try not to eat bread, it's not healthy, this and that. So of course you eat bread. It's not about your mind, it's not what you want. Unless it's like, the poor guy is suffering, so it's not based on the psychology of the person. It's a mitzvah called Yisrael. You're not normal, you have to be normal.
Well,
Like me,
that's
why
different.
don't you?
That's different. That's different. I thought
I
he asked something else.
אם מסתכל
Yes.
בשולחנו,
Yes.
עושים אותו by basic from base.
Yes.
You see the Mechaber says, he also שולחנו also מיטה. יישא לשולחנו יופי, וכולי, ויש יופי מוחל משובוי.
Right.
שולחן אין המוחל. The Ramo says,
Yes.
אפילו אני שאין לו קוראים, יש שבע סוף. So you see, according to the Mechaber,
Yes.
he says it's a muchach.
Yes.
They're both like Rashi.
There could be a little kakila up in the end.
Right. Very good, very good. Both are true. And this is what I want to explain in Rashi.
According to the Ramo,
I understand what you're saying. But listen carefully. I'm going to reread the Rashbam and Rashi. It's very important. Because this gives us the right perspective. According to the Rashbam and Rashi, the Mishnah is talking about in the entire meal. In the entire meal is definitely only a kiyum mitzvah, not a chiyuv. The chiyuv is only on the 4 courses and matzah, like the Rambam says. Wait, like Shulchan Aruch says. So, I'm also Shulchan Aruch everything. I'll explain how I'm going to reread Rashi. Listen carefully. When Rashi says even a poor Jew cannot eat in the night of Pesach, he's talking about the general mitzvah fulfillment of kiyum mitzvah of chayvus. Zacharto, you should remember you were a slave. Until you recline like in a way of freedom to remember freedom. Benita b'shulchan means he's talking about now all this in the lechatchila. So the subject of our Mishnah is not the chiyuv, which rabbis put a chiyuv in the minimum. Talk about the maximum, the kiyum of the mitzvah. So the kiyum of the mitzvah is mita, the shulchan, the whole night, whatever you're going to eat at night, you're going to eat with reclining. So the subject matter according to Rashi and the Rashbam is what? It's like the Rambam says, Arezim Meshubach. And the way the Greece defines that, let's read inside the Greece. You have degrees, everyone has degrees, right?
No.
You don't have, come and take. Here, those that don't have can come and take. Give out something, this is just one page. Give out, those that need. Everyone has it, please. So come here. It gives us this, another page. Turn the page, we'll see in Rashi's script context. So the Greek says as follows. This is 2, 4, I'm reading the Greece. I'm going to read the Rambam, and look carefully what he says. Perek Zayin Aloch Zayin. Chapter 7, law 7. Lefikach therefore, כשסועד אוטום בלילה הזה, when a man eats this night, צריך לאכול ולשתות, you need to eat and drink, והוא מייסר, listen to what Hashem. You have to eat and drink when you recline. Derech Cheres, the way of freedom. This is all part of the mitzvah, v'zocharta, ki evelis of Mitzrayim. You should remember you were a slave. Ve'emosai when, tzrichim aseigo, when do we need reclining? Bishas achilas kazayis matzah. In the time we eat the kazayis matzah. Ubishtias arba kois, the drinking of the 4 of the cups. Aelu, those. Vesh'ar achilos and shtios, all the rest of his eating and his drinking. If he reclines, praiseworthy. From those who Rambam words, Mevua I can understand. The Mevua means it's been explained. The mitzvah sasebo, the law of reclining, in mitzvah b'fnatzo, the mitzvah by itself. Sheyoichal v'ishta b'layla, they're going to eat and drink in this night. V'umeisa derecheius, and you're reclining away of freedom. Elo the Chachomim, rather the rabbis, kovu, they set le mitzvah zu. This is what he said, Rabbi Shlomo. The rabbis set this mitzvah. That means they told us the format of this mitzvah. Bishas achilas matzah, the time you're eating the matzah. V'shtias arba kois, you're drinking the 4 cups. Aval al kol panim, and anyhow, mitzvah b'fnei atzmo, it's a mitzvah by itself. Veloy midina mitzvah shel matzah is not part of the mitzvah of matzah and 4 cups. Now, this is a punchline, which the reason I'm reading it for. Uketechazino, like we see, the g'am sh'ar achilos ha'shtiyos, all the other eating and drinking tonight. In Ezer, if he reclined, Arezem Meshubach, it's praiseworthy. Listen carefully how the Greece defines that. The Ayin, which means, how he gives a meaning to it. The Mikaria, you know the word Mikaria? It's called Kiyu Mitzvah. Which words? Say after me. Kiyu Mitzvah. You know what Kiyu Mitzvah means? A fulfillment of the Mitzvah shall I say. And he quotes a Shulchan Aruch, etc. L'chatchila, that's the Ramo. Yes, and b'chol you should recline in time.
Maybe it's sworn. Kiyu Mitzvah has a concept.
Wait, guys. I want to explain that. And then I will listen to what you're saying. When I would read the Rambam and I read the Ramah, which the source is review, I would say maybe there's 2 different opinions. The Rambam says the whole meal is praiseworthy. Meshubach. What's the word Meshubach? Praiseworthy. And the language of the Ramah, lechatchila. You know what the word lechatchila means? In the first place. There's a difference between praiseworthy normally and lechatchila. Praiseworthy, I praise you for it. And lechatchila means that's the law in the first place.
Oh, it was like mi'atchala?
Yes.
I thought it meant that in the best way.
That's what it means. In the first place, that's the way you should do it. So that's a law. A law lechatchila, in the first place, that's where you should act by law. Praiseworthy is behind us more than the law. You're being praised. But now the Greece redefines the Rambam. When the Rambam says, and I understand where he comes from. Because the Rambam starts that, therefore, lefikach. Where's lefikach? Since it's a mitzvah to remember that you were a slave and you were free, therefore, when you eat tonight, when you eat and drink tonight, you have to eat and drink and reclining in a way of freedom. So you can't say meshubach means praiseworthy, it's a good thing, you're a chassid, you're a good guy. Has to be an halacha. Just an halacha lechatchila. So therefore, he put together the language of the Ramah, together with the Rambam. Yehereb Shlomo, Rabbi Shlomo. He shoves in the Mechaber, the Rambam, and the Ramah together. And he says that Zdil Lechatchila means is in the first place that's the way the law needs to be. But it's a law. It's a law. What does the law mean? You fulfill, that's language. Say after me, Kiyum Mitzvah. Kiyum Mitzvah. There is a Chiyuv Mitzvah, obligatory. It's not a Chiyuv. The obligatory is only on the Kazayis Matzah, on the olive size matzah that you must eat tonight. There, you fulfill the Chiyuv of the Mitzvah of reclining, a seiva midei rabbanon, which they fulfill the Doraisa Mitzvah of Chiyuv. Of Zachat Gedolisa. And the 4 cups. 4 cups are rabbinic to start with. But it's not just rabbinic. It's rabbinic to fulfill the mitzvah doraisa of chayus, of remember you were a slave and now you're free. That's the reason we drink 4 cups, for language of geula. So the whole drinking is to show freedom. But still, there's an added mitzvah, added factor, detail law, they need to recline and to do a seiva. And in the mitzvah of a seiva there is meshubach. That whatever you drink and eat at night, as meshubach doesn't mean meshubach stam, means it's a kiyum mitzvah. But in the 4 cups, in the mitzvah of drinking 4 cups, in the mitzvah of eating kazayis matzah, is a doraisa mitzvah, and a separate mitzvah on its own. To eat matzah has nothing to do with freedom. It's a mitzvah on its own to eat matzah b'layla hazeh. The 4 cups is a little bit jumpy. Because we learned in the page Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Beis, we learned in the beginning of that we started our class, that the 4 cups is what? The 4 cups is the rabbi's obligatus derech chayvus. You saw, remember we learned? Rav Nosson asked Rav, because Amazon requires a cup. Says not true. The cup, the 4 cups are do derech chayvus, way of freedom. That's what the rabbi speaks 4 cups. She just said, since you have 4 cups, you do the mitzvahs. You show the mitzvahs. But in essence, the mitzvah of the 4 cups, Alba Koises, is derech chayvus, is an essence of chayvus. Chayvus what? What is the Torah chayvus? The Rambam. The Rambam says, Zachalto, the mitzvah tziva toiro, HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'Torah Hashem commanded to remember you were a slave. And the format of showing you a slave and now you're free is what? The rabbis told us to drink 4 cups of language of Geula. But there's an added factor, derech haseiva, to show, therefore we eat and drink the whole night, everything we do, and derech chayvus, and chayvus of reclining. So wait a second. The reclining by matzah should be different than the reclining of the 4 koisos. Because the reclining of matzah, you have the obligation to eat matzah, which is the Doraisa law. It's not with a goal of freedom. There's a chiyuv to eat matzah without showing freedom. Even a poor guy, and I rip clothes, and I'm really poor, and I'm in slavery. I've been captured by an army, and right now, in the middle of exile, I'm a slave. I still need to eat matzah. Nothing to do. The mitzvah of matzah is the mitzvah of eating matzah. But 4 cups is different. 4 cups, as we read the Mishnah Gemara of Kuf Yud Zayin, the essence of 4 cups is what? Derech chayvus. It's show freedom. Now there's an added mitzvah, a general mitzvah. Yeah, whatever you're going to eat, whatever you're going to drink, you have to do it in a way of freedom to fulfill the mitzvah of Zachalta.
Even Shulchan Aruch.
Even Shulchan Aruch, yes, everything. But where is Kiyum mitzvah and when is Chiyuv? That's the definition of the keys. You can argue on it. But I understand the keys, where the keys come from. Since the Rambam puts a seiva as fulfilling a rabbinic mitzvah, fulfilling the mitzvah of Zachat Gedolisa, that's the format. So by definition, when he says Meshubach, he can't say just praiseworthy is hallelujah, hippie. You're praiseworthy. No, it's halacha. It's di lechatchila. It's a law from lechatchila in the first place. That's what you have to do. And by doing it, you fulfill the mitzvah, kiyum mitzvah of chayvus, of being free. But when is the chiyuv of the mitzvah? When the rabbis told us the way how to fulfill you the mitzvah of being free and remember you were a slave. What's the format? When you eat the first kazayis. Now the mitzvah of eating kazayis has nothing to do with the mitzvah of chayvus, remember you're a slave, it's a mitzvah to eat kazayis. But the mitzvah of drinking 4 cups has to do with that same mitzvah, but in a different angle. So you have the drink of the 4 cups on the angle of chayvus, and you have in the same mouth And then another, same other side of your mouth, you have what? You have to drink it through reclining. Reclining, and if I don't recline, then what happens? No. According to the Rambam, it's an added factor. It's nothing to do with the mitzvah of eating a matzah. What about drinking 4 cups? Does the reclining by drinking the 4 cups an added, or it's part of? The Greeks put it all together in one bundle. You can definitely argue on it and say not true. And I want to explain this concept. No, definitely is the Raisa de Rabbanon, but I'll tell you the difference. By matzah, you have matzah doraisa, matzah de Rabbanon. So the Rabbanon is really like the doraisa, which is the rabbinic. Yeah, for example, the first kazais matzah, we eat a couple of kazais matzahs in Leila Seder. One is when we break the two breads, the 3 breads, break hamoitzi, we're starting the meal, right? Okay, we wash our hands, we're starting out the meal, we did kiddush, we're starting our meal. How do we start the meal? You have to have 2 breads. So yeah, now which way? You can't have bread, you have matzahs. So you eat kazais matzah, right? For the meal. Wow. That kazais matzah is the matzah doraisa of fulfilling the mitzvah doraisa of what? Ba'erev toichu matzah, so that night you eat matzahs. Okay. Then we eat matzah with moro. Moro alone we don't recline. And with matzah together moro. Because to remember the Beis Hamikdash, we had a sandwich. We had a buffet, a beef, how do you call it? A tzli, roasted lamb chops with maro and matzahs together. But we don't have lamb chops, so we have moro together with matzahs. We need to recline there. But that is only rabbinic, not doraisa. Then the last kazais, afikomer. What is afikomer? To remember what? To remember the meat. Instead of eating meat, when you're all satisfied, you eat the last piece of meat to show you do it for Hashem. We don't have today the meat of Korban Pesach. We eat matzah to remember the Korban Pesach. That's definitely rabbinic. Wait a second. Let's now think one by one. The reclining there is a part of it or not? So I would say the first kazais, the reclining is part of what? It's part of the first kazais. The Rambam says no. Reclining has to do with the general mitzvah to remember you were a slave. Derech Hegel is your freedom. And the eating the kazais has to do with the mitzvah of eating kazais matzah. To remember the act of leaving of Egypt. It's a different point. It's a different mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to eat on its own. Then you have eating kazais matzah with moro to remember the Korban Pesach, which is rabbinic mitzvah of eating matzah. The reclining is an added, special, attached to it, but it's not part of it. It's not a mischaber. Or the last kazais matzah. What? Mischaber? I didn't say mischaber in English. Mechubar. It's not jointed, it's not connected, it's just standing next to it. The last kazais of eating afikoman. So the reclining is next to it. When you do that, you recline. But also when you ate chicken and meat and chips, whatever you ate at night, you also ate reclining. You build the mitzvah here. So then what? The rabbis told you what? According to the Rambam. Let's read the Rambam again. I want to define this, very important. The Rambam says, and Mosai tzrichim aseiva, when you're reclining, bish'as achilas kazais matzah, the time when I eat the kazais matzah. But there's many kazais. There's the first kazais, there's the middle kazais of more. I'll hear you in a second. I just want to plant the problems in the people's mind before we give solutions. What?
Or the middle one.
Or the last one, yes, Rabbi.
The Lacha says if the person has only one kazayas matzah, what does he eat it at? And
Fikomen.
there's a mitzvah deraisa to eat
Yes.
matzah. Which one?
Fikomen.
The last one.
Right, Fikomen. Last one.
That one really is connected to real life.
No, because I can fulfill a couple in one shot. 2 birds in one shot. That's the reason.
One stone.
In one stone. 2 birds in one stone. Because if I do afikoman, I also can do the kazayis matzah together. Afikoman needs to be eating on a soya.
I understand.
So now, if I'm going to eat the last one and I never ate before nothing, I ate a meal.
I ate a meal.
And now I'm eating afikoman, so I'm doing to remember the Korban Pesach ala soiva. But since I'm eating matzah until now, so I also do the matzah in the same shot. One doesn't cancel the other.
I understand, but
Yes.
which is really the important kazayas?
No. No, wrong. Only the first kazais is kazais doraisa. When I do have 3 kazaisim, let's say I'm a rich guy like today.
Good.
The first kazais is the kazais of the mitzvah doraisa. the rest of the Rabbanon. If I don't have, I should do 2 birds in one shot. But the first one is the Doraisa. So wait a second, I want to talk about it. It's very important. This is very key piece. What, Rabbi? I think Rashi later on, Kuf Yitzayim, all those places. I'm not now, I'm going to tell you where. Kuf Ches says it clearly. What Rashi says? There's a Kuf Ches, I think I saw. She says Afikolim, right? Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the Rashba. Where?
Yes.
Where? The Rashba says, I'm sorry.
Where are you reading? Yes.
The Rashba says, Matzah Tukah Seder.
Matzah Tzela Seder, Shulchan Matzah, V'layla Yushu
That's nebulous. That's nebulous. Doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. It's not there. It's not in other places I saw.
Why the Rosh says?
Rashban later on says that there's matzah afikoimon. There's a matzah. You talk about matzah, the first matzah. On anyhow, even if I didn't see it, it's common sense. The first matzah is matzah doraisa. The rest is rabbinic. And if you don't have, you can fulfill both in one shot. So let's go back here, guys. I want to talk about our problem. Yes, Rabbi Shlomo.
Why the Rosh says that you need to eat matzah with the seifer? First
Very good. This part of that's what I'm bringing it for.
Lo yotzo.
Very good. Because the Rosh holds different. That's the whole point. That's the reason I'm spending time is to show the difference between the Rambam and the Rosh. Now we're going to add now Rashbam and Rashi. We shoved in Rashbam and Rashi. Now place us. He said the Rosh says that if he didn't eat kazais matzah of the first kazais and kazais matzah of afikoman with a say, we have to do it again. So the Rosh talks about both kazais. The Rambam didn't say both. He just says kazais matzah. The Rambam didn't say which kazais. Simply one kazais. The doraisa kazais. Not all kazaisi. Should have said. Like the Rosh specified all the kazaisi. The Rambam and Goldstein is all the Rishonim say all kazaisi. But the Rambam didn't say that. The Rambam said kazais matzah. Kazais matzah simply means the doraisa one. And more than that, that's the language of the Yerushalmi that he brings down, the Chaim Alevu, the Greece brings down as a source of the Rambam. It says, Oiso kazais, that kazais that the shamus eats, that kazais is doraisa. That kazais, who's that? The doraisa kazais, the first one. The rest is rabbinic. So let's go over again. Let's go over now, just open the subject. What's going on here? What's going on? Ma'olech poma. I understand that Rambam learns as a general mitzvah of a kiyum mitzvah of chayvus, derech chayvus, which is a chalto, doraisa, kiyum mitzvah doraisa, is eating the whole meal. Everything you eat, you have to recline. Good, I understand. It's a kiyum mitzvah. What's the chiyuv? The chiyuv is on the first kazais doraisa. When you eat the first kazais doraisa, that's the minimum. There is a chiyuv. The rabbis told you is a chiyuv. Then you're doing a chiyuv of the chayvus. They obligated you to eat then to do with reclining. So comes the Gerizim and he says, what happened if I ate the kazai without reclining? I need to go back or not? And we add into it, what happened if afikoman or the kazais of moro bind kazais of moro together with matzah, I didn't recline, which I need to, if I didn't. Do they need to go back again or not?
I would think not. But
do I make a chiluk? Or there's no difference? I would say myself, and I think that's what the Gita is saying, that the second and third kazai, which are rabbinic, there, when you recline, you're just doing a kiyum mitzvah. But the chiyuv of chayvus is only in the first kazais. So now we're saying double differences between the Rosh and the Rambam. It's not only that if you recline the first kazai, you have to go back, according to the Rosh, and eat. And according to the Rambam, there's no point of going back, because you already did the mitzvah of eating the first kazai. You did your mitzvah of doraisa. You didn't do the reclining. Reclining is a separate mitzvah. It's nothing to do with it. It's just standing next to it. So I did my mitzvah of eating kazais matzah by the first kazais matzah. So eating it again, it's nothing. It's just doing something for what? For reclining. So I do a kiyum mitzvah. I don't do a chiyuv, because the chiyuv was only when I do a chiyuv of eating matzah's mitzvah. But when the chiyuv of matzah mitzvah is gone, I already ate it without reclining. I already did it. So now if we eat again, won't fix it. I'm just now doing a kiyum mitzvah of a seiva, because the chiyuv of a seiva is only when I have a chiyuv of matzah. When the chiyuv of matzah is gone, I don't have a chiyuv, I only have a kiyum now. So there's no point of eating it again. So I'm saying that's true. Even when I do eat the kazais of koyrech and the kazais of vikoma, the reclining there is just a kiyum.
But a chiyuv also.
No chiyuv. How chiyuv?
No, the chiyuv.
The chiyuv is only an oiso kazais, the kazais of doraisa, not the rabbinic. Other eating, and more than that, the second kazais is to remember they eat the kazais of bayim of the chumatzos. No, the kazais to eat together to eat with the sandwich of the Pesach. And the third one is b'chanam not a matzah of mitzvahs, the matzah of korban Pesach. The last kazais, what do we eat the matzah for? As exchange for meat. Look at it as meat. Put eyeglasses of meat. And eating now matzah is meat. You know, so it's meat. It's meat in exchange of meat. Nothing to do with the mitzvah of the matzahs. So definitely the reclining by the afikoman, you can't say it's a reclining of kazais matzah. It's a different type of matzahs. It's a different reason of matzah. Since it's a different reason of a different matzah, there the reclining is not required because the Rambam says only by kazais matzah of the raisa of the matzahs. That's a simple way of reading it. Whoa! So we gain here a very big step. We gain here that the Shita Saramba is that you are required to do the chiyuv of a seva is a doraisa aloha to fulfill doraisa rabbinic, but to mekayim doraisa, and that chiyuv is only the chiyuv matzah doraisa, which is the first kazais. The second and third kazais is just a kiyuv mitzvah. It's like all the rest of the meal. And number two, that's number one. Number two, if you ate without reclining by the first kazait, there's no point of eating it again because it's gone. It's just maybe eating again. It's like all the rest of the meal that we recline. It's a kiyuv mitzvah of a seva. This is the Rambam. Wait a second. I'm not finished. Before I jump to the Rosh, what about the 4 cups? The 4 cups is different. Because I would say, since the whole essence of the 4 cups is a chelechegus, the whole essence of 4 cups, the Rambam says, when you're obligated, you have a chiyuv seva by kazais of matzah and arba koises, the 4 cups. Wait a second. The 4 cups starts with, what's the whole reason I drink the 4 cups? Chegus. Where does it say in the Torah chegus? Where the rabbis got it from? You remember it is a mitzvah doraisa. Remember you were a slave. It's a format of the rabbis to fulfill the doraisa zachat yevreisa. Wait a second. So the whole drinking is a drinking of freedom. So maybe there's different. Well, wait a second. I just want to say one point. Just this is one of the big chiddush today. The big chiddush is worth it to come to our Tziyon today and Tafshinayim test. Maybe I would say, and that's what I would say the simple small. I will hold it in simple small. That by the 4 cups, you hear the Zeb Shleima, Rabbi Shleima. By the 4 cups, the reclining is part of the mitzvah. It's not an adjacent standing next to it. It's there, even the Rambam will admit, it's part of it. And there, if you didn't do it reclining, you have to eat drink again. It's more of a mischaber, because the whole essence of drinking is to show freedom. So the reclining of the drinking is also, it's all part of one mitzvah. It's not just standing next to it. It's all part of the same sauce.
Could be a seed, but that's okay, but not that.
Yes, I can. They had 2 people speaking, so I don't know who spoke first, but you were older, so I'll listen to you.
You could say it's not part of it, it's just the mischaber that's half-brought.
I'm talking about mischaber, but it's not adjacent to it, it's not next to it. So I would tell you chilul. By achilas matzah, I agree. The general, I agree to the analysis of degrees. That you're right about achilas matzah. Really, the eating of the matzah is a doraisa aloha. Standing next to it is doing a seva, which comes from another mitzvah of the chalta kebeitza, which is general derech chayus. So if I already, and the chiyuv to do that mitzvah of a seva reclining is only when you have a chiyuv of eating matzah midoraisa. When you eat it, so then you make kind of chiyuv. If I already did the chiyuv, it was only chiyuv of a seva. That is only by the other achilas of matzahs, the other 2 achilas, and the other eating in the meals during the night. But drinking 4 cups is different, I would say. And from this, if I'm saying it's true, we can retranslate Toysus and Kufchet.
But 1 second. The Rambam says, the
Therefore, when you eat and drink this night, agree. Wait a second, that's the point. I'm saying, wait a second. No. Here's what I'm saying. The Rambam says when you need to do reclining, by the first kazayis, comes the Gris and he says, although the Rambam says you need by the first kazayit to recline, the reclining is just adjacent to the mitzvah of eating kazayis matzah. It's not part of it, it's not a mischaber, it's not attached to it. It's meyuchod, noisa, but it's not a mischaber, it's not a tziruf. What's an afkemina? If I already ate without reclining, I don't eat again, it's gone. But if it's part of it, and I didn't do it properly, I have to do it again. So I'm saying there's a chiluk between kazayis matzah and yain. Because misvora makes a lot of sense. Because by kazayis matzah, it's two different mitzvahs. But by the whole wine is come of chayvus. The reason why I drink wine is because of chayvus. So then the reclining is not just din noisof and miyuchod, as much as a tziruf and mischaber. So what's enough? Yes, Rabbi.
The Gemara really confesses the machlokes b'chlal if you need to say by yain anyway.
What?
Machlokes are more if you need to say by yain anyway.
I don't understand. Explain what you said.
The Gemara says
yes.
Whether you need a seva by wine anyway.
What is if you need a seva?
By wine?
No, everybody has you need a seva. Question: the first two, or the last two? The first two, the last two, and because we don't know what and which, we do a seva in all. Now I want to say that there's no life on Toises. Toises says torichiyun. If I drank the 4 cups without reclining, do I need to recline again? Vadai Toises holds that the drinking and the reclining is one thing. Because they the whole 4 cups is their cable, so the reclining all those things. It's definitely a mischaber, it's definitely a tziruf of it. I'll explain what the summer, we get there in a second. Bechlal, a whole world, different world to read the Toises. I can't hear too many voices. Yes, Rebbe Nash. In the middle of your argument. Go ahead. What?
Go ahead.
Say what you wanted to say. You have to speak slowly. I can't hear your words.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead. There is a mandoma.
That says it's only the first two, right?
Yes.
Okay. According to him, it's not there.
The last two now. There's a mandoma. The last two, the first two now. Since we don't know what it is, we do all 4.
Okay, so misafik or meek or din we there or not. So according to that, the more how can you say the Rambam would say the Biyun is not your
Very simple. Very simple. Very simple. Very simple. Because since the reclining is an essence part of the drinking. Wait a second. And the drinking is shoy derechevus. When do you show chevus? The first two, the last two. It's a suffix in the Gemara. Which two represents freedom? According to one opinion, the first two represents slavery. And the last two, I'm slave, I'm drinking harsh wine, because it's slavery. And now I'm free after 4 cups. Wow! The last two, as we start already singing, we said the story of Holi. Now we talk about Hallel, and this we're praising Hashem. We're already now free. So in the act of showing and the playoff, when we play that now we're holding in this situation, we're free. So the first two is slave. The other one says opposite. And the first two is freedom, and the last two is already my dahavahara. When you finish the story, there's two svaras there. So now let's go over it. So now, and those two that you need to have reclining, which represents freedom, therefore I would say that the reclining is chelik, a tail, as I say in Yiddish, is a part of, is a tziruf, is a chelik, is a mischaber to the mitzvah of
That's only for the Rambam.
I'm talking about Rambam.
But he's talking about the Gemara.
I know the Gemara, but I'm now reading the Rambam's eyes, the Gemara. The Rambam is also bound to the Gemara. So how the Rambam reads the Gemara? So I'm saying like this. I'm saying degrees, I agree to degrees, that by the Kazais Matzah, the Atsevo and the In Kazais Matzah are 2 different mitzvahs. And they're just standing next to each other. But by Alba Koisa, I can argue and says, no, the reason of the whole drinking Alba Koisa are 2 kosas out of 4, whatever it is. And Lamaisa, we do all 4 kosas out of suffix. That's why it does it's only healing. You have to go back again. But really, in essence, those 2 that you really do know, you do need it, represents freedom, and you need reclining. Those 2, if I didn't recline, it's not a mitzvah shleima, it's not a complete mitzvah if I have to go back, like the Rashbam and Rashi says. The Rashbam clearly, open the Rashbam and Navkuf Chet Amud Beis. The Rashbam and Rashi both say the language, Eino mitzvah shleima. The Gemara says 2, 4, 5 lines on the top. Rabbi says, Shton chai yotzo. If somebody drank, it says in the Bible, if somebody drank, the wine is not mixed with water. Hard, tough wine. Shtan chai is raw. You yoitze. Rabbi says, Yedei yain yotzo, you did your mitzvah of wine, of kiddush, of brikas hamazon, you did the mitzvah of wine. Aber Yedei chayus lo yotzo, you're not exempt the mitzvah of chayus, of freedom. Rashi says in the Rashbam, he says, Aval Yedei Chayus, Rashi Rashbam says lo yotzo. Why? You have it? Kloima, which means Ein zu mitzvah shleima, is not a complete mitzvah. She'ein zu, what's the line? She'ein chashivus el b'yayin mozu. There's no importance only when you mix wine. Not a mixed wine is not important. So the Rashbam and Rashi both say it's not a complete mitzvah. And Tosh doesn't argue. So I'm saying a little bit different than the Greeks. I agree to the Greeks, but a little bit different. I'm saying you're right, and the Kazais. That the Rosh holds all the Kazaisim, all the 3 Kazaisim, if you didn't recline, you have to go back, because he held that the reclining, even by matzah, is part of the mitzvah of matzah. It's an ischaba somehow. And he didn't do mitzvah b'shleimusa. After the rabbi said that when you eat matzah, doesn't matter the rice matzah, rabbinic matzah, after you eat reclining, it becomes one package. It's not a mitzvah shleim. And the rabbi holds nothing to do. The kazais matzah, since he said only the first kazais, and he says in the general 2 mitzvahs, so there's no connection to one another, and I agree. But I say by Alba Kois is different. Because the Alba Kois, the whole essence of Alba Kois, at least 2 out of the 4, is what? Is the Echevus. And therefore you have to recline, you have to show Echevus. The whole 4 Kois is to show 4 language of Gula. It's one aspect, that's the whole essence. The Gemara says all 4 Kois is the Echevus. But when it shows clearly Echevus, when I speak, Pepe, is only the first 2 or the last 2 that they need the reclining. So therefore, when those 2 that I need a reclining, definitely I would say is a mischaber, is attached to it. And therefore, if I didn't do reclining, the Rashbam and Rashi says what? Eino mitzvah shleim, it's not a complete mitzvah. Ketikuno. Also Rashi says the same thing. Rashi says that the chayus lo yosher kloima, enzu mitzvah shleim, it's not a complete mitzvah. Rashbam and Rashi.
In the Rambam, the notion of the Rambam.
Yes.
The Rambam, when he talks about matzah,
he puts it together.
then he says, b'sha'ar ha'fiyos le'ishtiyos.
Correct.
The same thing, the Rambam says.
No, but it doesn't say that if a ring recline is 0. I would say it's a chiluk.
He has the same.
No. I'm answering you. Listen, my friend, Rabbi. By matzah and by arba koisos, if I do recline, I do the chiyuv, not a kiyuv mitzvah. I do a kiyuv mitzvah of aseva. The nafkamina is what happens if I didn't do aseva by the chiyuv. Is it 0 or not? Says the Rambam holds by matzah, it's a mitzvah nifredes, it's a mitzvah b'fnei aseva and mitzvah of matzah. And he holds the same thing as by wine. I say, wait a second, that's my matzah. And that's the first kazayis matzah, not the rest. And the Rosh holds the rest. It means it's part of mitzvah shleim. But I would say that the Rambam will admit to the Rashi and the Rashbam that by wine, the chiyuv of reclining is by drinking the wine. But if I didn't do it, it's just adjacent to it, it's next to it. It's a mitzvah b'nei atzmo, but you also have a chiyuv. And wine is for the chiyuv. So it's definitely connected to one of them. It's mashpia one, it's not a mitzvah shleim. So therefore, she cancel it and have to drink again. That's a tzorichin of Toises. But I'm not saying that Toises argues the other Rabbi. Yes, what do you want to say, Rabbi?
I'm saying that the second view of the oil. Because the oil says the second view that once each second time kazayis matzah, it's not even first, it's second.
Correct.
It can be that the second kazayis will fix up.
Right, because it's gone.
That time is also.
But wait a second. But I would say no, not true. But wine that it represents freedom. And I didn't do it in proper way of reclining. I would say it blemishes also the obligation of drinking the wine, because the whole essence is the chayos. Like the Rashbam and Rashi, they mitzvah shleim. So I would say that Rabbi will admit to that. There's no proof. That's a common sense.
What? Ikra din? I mean, biyotzi.
Yeah, but Zayin mitzvah shleim. See, then you have to go back again. Okay. Enough. I mean, not enough. You have to continue on this Hashem. Next week, what are we going to do next week? There's a lot more to talk about. I want everybody to continue on. There's a tosaf lo yifchetu lo me'arba koises. A little bit more elaborate this the end of the week and beginning of the week. We just spoke about. Learn it deeper.
There are 2 questions.
Lo yifchetu lo me'arba koises.
Second one.
the second one. Learn it well. There is a Griz on this. And there is the Chazon Ish on this. When you print Reb Shlomo, the Chazon Ish and the Griz on this, I want you to print. Chazon Ish and the Griz on this Toysvis. There's a lot more to talk about. There's a big Griz, about 3-4 pages. Maybe take us a week or 2 weeks to understand what he's saying. Lo yifchetu lo im ha'abako is the second Tosfot. The second lo yifchetu. In page 99b. Okay? There's a lot of different laws there, very important laws. Very halachic for every Shabbos laws. Zrat Hashem. A lot of nafkidin halacha about it. It's a lot of beautiful pieces. I said here a couple of shiurim in other places. It's a beautiful pieces here to learn with. Zrat Hashem. Siyat Yeshivah.